truth in silence, the loud voice of lies has been allowed to take the stage. And so it has been for the past 5 years, and the picture that was painted by the lies that were told about me was readily accepted as an authentic work of art, and no one cared to scratch beneath the surface of it. And my family and my friends turned their face from me so they could gawk at this incredible masterpiece. And it was a masterpiece indeed, but only a masterpiece of deception, born from a sick mind and a pathological need to cover up the artist's own disfiguration. And I could care less what stories fake people choose to believe about me, and it may have continued on that way forever. But, on Friday the 13th, August 2021, these murderous satanic witches colluded to place the lives of my 2 little ones on their demonic altar of sacrifice. And, the lives of these 2 little ones are not theirs to sacrifice. And, the lives of these 2 little ones are my solemnly sworn duty to protect, to defend, and to nurture. And so, they have summoned forth the wrath of Phoenix Dragon Fire, which burns with the threefold flame of holy truth, divine love, and universal honor, to ceaselessly stand before the throne of judgment and advocate for their eternal condemnation in the presence of the host of heaven. It is for this purpose that I now bring all dark corners alight, that the ring of truth shall now echo unto the ages, and forever blot out the lies born from wickedness in the hearts of those who have sought to destroy me. If you haven't yet completed the homework that was assigned to you in Puppets, you may wish to go back and review that material before proceeding here, because I won't be covering the psychological agents contributing to the behaviors of delusion and destruction in this session. We left off at the inception of an ongoing smear campaign to assassinate my character and leave me forever at the mercy of my narcissistic abuser. These attacks, which were, in my mind, completely unwarranted, seemed to come from nowhere, and suddenly I had found myself cast in the role of an evil villain character which was in complete opposition to my true, caring, and long-suffering nature. Have you ever been falsely accused? It is an insidious tactic that I can't imagine ever personally perpetrating on another human being. Of course, you deny it. Isn't that what every guilty person does? You say, that never happened. Prove it. Show me the proof that something doesn't exist so I can call you a liar some more. From this time forward, even unto the present moment, the complete assassination of my character in the form of this false narrative that was concocted by my demented abuser has forced its way into our shared reality, and, sadly, several members of my family and longtime friends still believe in its veracity. Why would my co-parent and lifetime partner do such a destructive thing to me? What harm had I actually done? Let's get our bearings here. 360 degrees. From October 2015 to February 2016, it was 4 months of a living hell for everybody in our household, except arguably for the abusive monster at the center of it all. And so, there was this innocent and unbelievably sweet-hearted magical soul in form of a 6.5-year-old boy with ASD who was my constant companion through it all. There was this 18-month-old toddler who was just beginning to really express herself. There was my quadriplegic brother, also at the behest of this demented abuser. There were the whirlwind chaotic assaults and accusations which characterized the presence of our narcissistic abuser herself. And then there was yours truly. Determined to sink with the ship if that's where it was going, but doing my damnedest to bail the water out one bucketful at a time until the bitter end. I was trying to get my boy through his online public school kindergarten classes, and failing. I was doing my best to take care of my toddler in the genuine way that she deserved, and not doing as well as I wanted. I was making sure not to drop the ball with the bank. Now that we were within reach of a successful conclusion, on behalf of my brother, I had tragically missed the deadline for Chapter 3 of my master's thesis and was trying to negotiate with the administrators of the School of Business at Fresno Pacific University so I could get that thing across the finish line. And I was also starting a new venture with my business partner and had begun working for our new company, a successful consulting agency providing the gold standard in IT services to businesses in the Merced area, which is still going strong today as a testament to the irreproachable character and reliable ethics of my former business partner and mentor, but was admittedly dropping things left and right. I felt like there was a lot on my plate and desperately wished for some support. The reality never matched my dreams though, because their mother, my co-parent, was rarely ever home, and she would return at odd hours of the night, and she behaved as if she had no responsibility in the household, and she attacked me without end until she finally left again. To say it was frustrating would be an understatement. She had all of the car keys and control of all of the money, but no bills were getting paid, and there was very little food in the house. It's confusing that the mortgage payment had been forestalled for so many months due to the refinancing process, yet the electricity and the water utilities were always threatening to cut their service, and we were dumping our trash in the dumpsters of apartment buildings under the cover of night. She was unreachable to any of us. Have you ever tried stopping a crazy train? Her movements to and fro were erratic and unpredictable, such that we never knew where she was or when to expect her or for how long she might stay before she grew bored of attacking and berating me and left again for God knows where and for God knows how long. And that's the way she wanted things to be. And it seemed to be a source of great satisfaction for her to have control over all of our lives, and to have everyone living in fear of her, and to have us all begging her for crumbs if we could get her attention long enough before she blew another fuse. During this time, she was only hostile and violent any time that she was home. I would wake up to her standing at the foot of the bed or in the bedroom doorway yelling at me, throwing things at me, turning on the lights, sometimes punching me. There were several times that she threatened to kill me in my sleep, and I woke up more than a few times with her hands around my neck, viciously choking me. It was a horror show for sure. I've since learned, however, that these behaviors are incredibly not unusual for narcissistic abusers in regards to their intimate partners. All this time she was spreading lies about me to my family, to her family, to our friends, to her friends, to my friends, and to anyone who would listen. She had embarked upon a ruthless smear campaign to assassinate my character, which continues to this day. She's the victim in her narrative and has conceived the most twisted, depraved, sick, and disgusting things to add to her repertoire of allegations against me. When her delusions of this alternate reality that she had constructed were at a fever pitch, she would confront me with scraps of paper that she had apparently pulled out of the garbage, claiming that the skanky bitch that I was hiding in our house had written death threats to her and hidden them in these unlikely places. At the time, I didn't know what a gaslight was, or that what I was experiencing was a phenomenon called cognitive dissonance. I was pretty firm in my understanding of reality but could find no way to make sense of the behaviors that were victimizing us all. And I was helpless to do anything more about it than I was already doing. I begged and pleaded with her for some semblance of reason to re-emerge until my throat cracked, all the while she was assaulting me and mocking me for taking the punches, saying things like, "You sniveling little worm." I have since reasoned that the so-called death threats, which were hidden in unlikely places throughout the house on the tiniest scraps of paper that only she could read, was an important piece of the narrative that she wanted to establish. Even though not a single person that she showed could ever confirm seeing what she told them was written there, including members of her family who are trained agents, one being an investigator of the Fresno County Sheriff's Office, she proceeded as if she had won an irrefutable consensus of the fact and then leveraged the fabricated existence of these death threats to justify any abusive act towards me, even secretly drugging me, as I discovered later, and plotting my murder, as she barreled forward in her planned demolition and complete destruction of our home. February of 2016 was to be our last month in that house, which was our home, and where we all lived as a family until the abuser among us ripped our world into pieces and changed our lives forever since. And it was the worst month of my life, and it was supposed to be the last month of my life. She had begun to restrict my movements to the point that I couldn't close the door when I was in the bathroom without her bursting in and glaring at me for having the audacity to believe that I should deserve anything so humane such as this basic level of privacy. During this time, she would come up behind me while I was working at the computer and punch me in the back of the head, catching me completely unawares. She threw bags of shit at me often, she hit me in the face with dirty diapers, and she spit on me every chance she got. I finally understood at some point that she had been trying to provoke me to attack her so that she could call the sheriff's department and press charges against me, have me locked up and establish herself as a victim, another typical narcissistic move. It has taken me all these years to process through the healing of my deeply scarred non-physical wounds which were incurred during this time to understand that everything she did was calculated and everything happened according to her agenda, and she was in control the whole time, and everything that had happened was all to her satisfaction, even though what she had created only brought on overwhelming pain, loss, confusion, sadness, suffering to my brother, my children, and me. The whole thing was very confusing for me and no less for the children. I think back to how they must have experienced this madness. Our days were peaceful for the most part. Their caring father was always nearby, tending to their every need, making meals, doing the laundry, keeping them clean, keeping their beds clean, doing my best to give them my attention and not neglect their emotional needs, making time especially to hang out with my boy and give him the support that we all needed. And then their monster mother would come home and begin attacking the only person on earth who had spent every day of their lives caring for them, and none of their needs could be met while I was under attack, and their only other option was the person attacking me. I had done nothing wrong. I had, in fact, suffered countless wrongs, and the helpless and confused children only saw her attacks on me escalate. And it was very traumatic for my 6.5-year-old boy with special needs who knew me as the only one he could depend on to care for him his entire life. That was part of her plan too, I now realize. She wanted him to see me get broken down by her. I had no idea what she was planning, and I lacked the diabolical wickedness to ever have imagined conceiving it. I can only say that I am much the wiser now concerning the evil that lurks in the hearts of others than I had been at the time. She had already set her plans for our absolute destruction in motion while we were all confusedly and futilely waiting for some semblance of sanity to return. And we are still waiting. And the insanity of abuses against us have only multiplied. So it was that on the third weekend of the month of February in 2016, that my hopes had been falsely raised because she suggested it would be a good idea for the kids to stay with her mom for a couple of days while we, meaning me, got caught up on the household chores which had uncharacteristically been allowed to descend into neglect. I believed it to be a sort of peace offering. I accepted it as a much needed relief in regards to my exhaustion. Aside from the normal trepidation I feel when I know I won't see my little ones for a couple days, I was lighthearted when I kissed them goodbye because I truly believed there would be a better home waiting for them when they returned. And the butcher was waiting for me just inside the door. And they never saw their home again. 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 And they never saw their home again.